Leavitt.
She's become a star. It's that face, it's that brain, it's those lips, the way they move like she's a machine gun.
This is his father. How difficult was that to have that conversation?
Very difficult. Very difficult.
Now we know why Karoline Leavitt got this job. It's not for her intellect. It's certainly not for her being a factual press secretary. No, it's because of her face, her lips, and the way her lips move. And that is a direct quote from the President of the United States. He is married.
Coincidence that the Democrats leaked these emails to the fake news this morning ahead of Republicans reopening the...
Donald Trump's wife, Melania Trump, is allegedly spiraling behind closed doors, and people close to the situation say it's been nonstop for days. According to insiders, everything blew up after she was informed about alleged leaked DNA samples and private text messages that had already been quietly circulating among people in Trump's inner orbit. This wasn't something she heard from Twitter or a headline. It was brought to her directly, and once she understood what was being alleged, there was no unhearing it. Insiders say that's when Melania snapped, because this wasn't just gossip anymore. If even part of this was true, it meant she'd been publicly embarrassed while everyone else seemed to know before she did. And now people are asking how she managed to hold it together for so long, when the signs were stacking up right in front of her, and she was watching it all play out in silence. And before anyone acts shocked by Melania's reaction, let's be honest about how weird Trump's behavior around Karoline Leavitt had already been. This didn't start in private. It started on stage in Pennsylvania, at a rally that was supposed to be about the economy and Trump's America is Back speech. Instead, Trump lost focus and locked in on Karoline like nothing else in the room mattered.
We even brought our superstar today, Karoline. Stand up, girl. Isn't she great? Is Karoline great?
He didn't just shout her out and move on. He started praising her face, her presence, and then crossed into talking about her lips in a way that made the entire crowd pause. You could feel the confusion. People were looking around like, did he really just say that? And the wild part is he didn't stop. No correction, no awkward laugh. He doubled down and kept going like he forgot he wasn't speaking in private.
Like, I mean, they dominate. They dominate when she gets up there with that beautiful face and those lips that don't stop, up, like a little...
And that Pennsylvania rally wasn't a one-off. That's what people keep missing. Because after that clip went viral, a lot of folks tried to excuse it as Trump being Trump, speaking off the cuff, saying weird shit, and moving on. But then he did it again. Back in August, during an appearance on Newsmax, Trump brought Karoline Leavitt up completely unprompted. He didn't just say she was good at her job. He went straight back to her face, her brain, and those same lips, dragging it out this time, stacking adjectives on top of each other like he couldn't help himself. He even joked about whether she was in the room while talking about her, which made the whole thing feel even more uncomfortable.
Karoline Leavitt.
She's become a star. It's that face, it's that brain, it's those lips, the way they move like she's a machine gun. Is she in the room?
She's in the room.
She's a star, and she's great. She's a great person, actually, but she's, I don't think anybody has ever had a better press secretary than Karoline. She's been amazing.
That's when people stopped calling it accidental, because repeating the same comments in the same tone on different platforms starts looking less like a slip and more like fixation. And if that still wasn't enough to make things uncomfortable, Trump took it even further on Air Force One. During an interview that had nothing to do with Karoline, he was asked whether she'd be replaced now that she was pregnant. Before the interviewer could even finish the question, Trump cut them off and shut it down hard with no hesitation. He said it would never happen, then immediately circled back to praising her again, bringing up her looks the same way he always does. That moment is where insiders say the mood really shifted behind the scenes.
Like immediately, is that right? How's Karoline doing? Is she doing good? Should Karoline be replaced?
No. That's up to you, sir.
It'll never happen.
Nobody wants to...
I say she does a great job. Do you want to elaborate on the
those skating and those lips, they move like a machine gun, right?
Do you want to elaborate on the...
Because at that point, this wasn't praise happening once or twice. This was Trump publicly protecting her, elevating her, and talking about her in a way he doesn't do with anyone else. And people close to Melania say, That's when the dots started connecting. What made things worse is that Trump wasn't the only one moving strangely during this time. Karoline's behavior started raising eyebrows too. When she was asked publicly about her relationship with Trump, she didn't create distance or shut it down. She leaned in. She described him as fun, hilarious, one of the funniest people she's ever worked with, and
relationship with President Trump look like?
It's great. He's a great boss to work for. He's fun. He's hilarious. One of the funniest people I've ever met. He has a great sense of humor.
People noticed the tone immediately. That's when the dynamic shifted from uncomfortable to alarming, because it's one thing for a powerful boss to cross lines. It's another when the energy feels returned. Around that same period, photos resurfaced from a trip Trump and Karoline took to Scotland. Officially, it was framed as work, but the images told a different story, and noticeably, Karoline's husband was almost completely absent from her online presence during that time. The real tension started when timelines were quietly compared behind closed doors. Karoline joined Trump's campaign in early 2024, and roughly 9 months later, she gave birth to her baby boy. At first, nobody said anything publicly, but privately, questions were being asked, especially after Karoline named the child after her husband, which some insiders say felt more like a signal than reassurance. Then she announced she was pregnant again, due in 2026. Right around the same time, Trump began gushing about her publicly all over again. To people watching closely, it didn't feel random. It felt patterned. And insiders claim this is the point where whispers turned into serious conversations, because once you see the timeline clearly, it's hard to unsee it. Once those patterns became impossible to ignore, the reaction online shifted fast. People weren't just calling it inappropriate anymore, they were openly questioning why nobody around Trump seemed willing to shut it down. Commentators pointed out that Trump has praised plenty of staffers over the years, but never like this. Never with the same repeated focus on physical traits. Even some of his supporters admitted it felt off. And that's when the conversation quietly moved from "this is uncomfortable" to "someone knows something we don't." Insiders say this is also when Melania's demeanor reportedly changed in private, less willing to play along. Because when the public starts noticing the same things you've been clocking behind closed doors, it stops feeling manageable. What really fueled the speculation, though, was the silence. There was no rushed attempt to kill the story the way Trump usually does when something crosses a line. Karoline went quiet, her husband disappeared offline, and Trump's team, according to insiders, shifted straight into legal mode instead of damage control. That's the part people keep coming back to. Because when something isn't true, Trump tends to say so loudly and repeatedly. But this time, there was nothing. And people who've been around political scandals long enough say that kind of silence usually means one thing. The conversations aren't happening in public anymore. They're happening behind closed doors, with lawyers present. And this is where people started bringing up Trump's history, because for some, the Karoline situation didn't feel isolated. Old clips began resurfacing where Trump spoke about his own daughters in ways that made people uncomfortable even back then. Comments about Ivanka's looks.
I think Ivanka would do that inside the magazine, although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird!
Jokes that crossed lines, moments that were brushed off at the time as Trump being inappropriate but harmless. Insiders say those clips suddenly took on new weight in light of how he'd been speaking about Karoline, the same tone, the same fixation on appearance. And for people close to Melania, this context mattered, because it wasn't just about one woman or one set of comments anymore. It was about recognizing a pattern she'd been navigating privately for years. Meanwhile, people close to Karoline say the pressure around her intensified fast. She stopped posting. Her husband vanished from public view. And insiders claim conversations that used to be casual suddenly became tense and guarded. At the same time, Trump's inner circle appeared unusually protective of her. When Trump's daughter-in-law was asked whether Karoline would step back because of her pregnancy, the response was immediate and firm. Nobody was replacing her. Nobody was next in line. It was Karoline. That tone mirrored Trump's almost word for word, and people noticed. Because when multiple people around the same man start defending someone that hard, that publicly, it raises a bigger question. Was Karoline being protected, or was she being positioned? According to people familiar with the situation, this is also when Melania stopped trying to smooth things over. Insiders say she'd tolerated years of uncomfortable moments, headlines she didn't like, and situations she'd learned to quietly endure. But this time felt different. The combination of Trump's repeated public behavior, the timelines being whispered about, and the way Karoline was being defended inside the circle reportedly hit a nerve. Melania wasn't just dealing with embarrassment anymore. She was dealing with the realization that whatever was happening around her had been happening openly, with witnesses, and possibly with approval from people she saw every day. And once that sets in, there's no going back to pretending everything is normal. That's why the alleged DNA leak hit so hard when it surfaced in private conversations.